I've done it. I've heard it. I'm gonna practice it. Yeah. Have you ever used Yeah, I did too. So the video I did was the hologram thing. Yeah,
We were
we had
trying
class.
to go, but Wednesday night, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was like right in the middle of class. It was
You
like,
better stay home to homework.
yeah. Well, it looked really cool.
It is.
I'm excited about the music and tech
Oh,
event end of this month,
When is that?
end of this month.
April 28th. It's like a little conservative enough.
Oh, Friday.
You're gonna go? Okay.
Maybe I'll touch base.
Yeah. Touch base with you and.
Okay. Yeah, I have a music, a history of music. I have a degree in music.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, I have a degree in music. So that'll be great. Because I hear that. Trumpet is my pleasure.
Like in this case, it's those change, like you get a token from the desk, and it's like expires. Yeah, it's like a way to give out
Yeah.
high five.
When I saw that upstairs, why? I just didn't think you could do that. I mean, I can use the Wi-Fi.
Where's that battery from?
All this is from track in college.
Oh.
I ran track in college for conference.
And you got that?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Everyone sees the lemonade back here too? Your drinks? Lemonade.
Are you listening?
Are you in the other section?
Oh, it's iron. Oh, no, I'm not.
You look so young, I don't know.
So were you gonna do
I don't know, I did too, don't worry.
Joking, right?
Yeah.
So who's daydreaming about working here? So actually, these are the hotel rooms.
That's what I was. Yeah, nice little building. You got everything in here.
You almost didn't come in.
All you need to do is move down here, get a room and work here.
Exactly, yeah. Seriously, like if you had enough money, you could just turn this into like your entire
Live.
experience. Yeah. So you had, you said you had a friend who's got a startup going? Outside
Yes,
of
and
Austin?
actually he is now in, he's working at home. He is trying to have a
Like that's just like the.
He's business.
Oh, yeah? Is this project, like already started and he's already learned the funding, or is it just like?
I think he has.
Okay.
They already have that. Want me to put you up?
Well, I mean, possibly. Do you know what the project is? That they're working on?
A small company with
Not what I want.
consistent.
Yeah.
It was at the very
So we
beginning.
find really
Most
nice.
companies, they just like, your company, you want to make it.
They are trying to have a
Bigger structure.
like a bit of program.
And you still gotta
They
worry about.
assign this building.
Okay, cool.
to be the best match of the tutors.
That's pretty good. Most of these companies, a lot of companies, you think about it, like, yeah, that's clever. I like that. Stimulating. And where did you say they were located?
He is in in this case, I have to find out more information.
Yeah.
It's not profit, doesn't mean it's okay, you're okay. You know what I mean?
No, I.
Yeah,
I don't. I'm not trying to like get rich quick. I want to work for my life. I want to continue to work, so I don't. Especially I'm not thinking about it. I have no problem with that at all. In fact, my wife is. She has a lot of student loan debt. Like I'm wearing this program where she has to work at either a nonprofit or a public service organization. So that in 10 years, all that will get so she's on this path too. She doesn't have a choice, but I do. But I will, my choice. Have you started applying and interviewing? Looking around? Not yet? You're gonna wait until close to the end of the process of this program?
Actually, I have some done for my translation app, right?
Yeah.
You know, that's the job.
You're just gonna buy it.
I don't even know how far I can get with this project, even though we have both.
Yeah.
That's actually like.
Yeah. Are you happy with your progress?
I have to last couple of weeks, I finally feel that, I learned this stuff.
Yeah, I was joking.
And I learned it. It is going on finally.
Yeah, that's great. What was it? What was the last thing you needed? What type of?
I need an option. That's all I need.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I started out in the very beginning of the course. I really liked Jim. I thought he was great. I thought he was funny. But over time, I started to like him. He's got more of Jim's got a charismatic, like confident, I can kill the job personality. Austin's a teacher. He's a natural teacher. He's like thinking about his students and what they need in order to succeed.
He is on the student's shoes. He's in the student's shoes.
They moved into their own space.
I tell you. Also, he's way smarter than Jim.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they work like 4 blocks away. Where's you working? Where's you working? Right across the street. In the basement. Well, the kind of basement, but yeah. Doctor's there, right? Working?
You can like Chinese, right?
Yeah, I got less hours. And now I start also every day, less time every day. That works better for Josh. I don't know.
How many hours do you get off? I mean, a day.
He gets off at 3 a week.
Instead of
6. Like last 36.
so you got an extra 15 hours. So you got
That's perfect.
how many hours you guys per day?
I definitely touch base with my friend because of you.
So you got a little bit more than
And then you can hear, you have give me all the secrets recipe of molding.
Why I like mine better.
do you like Clemens? Have you been to?
Yes,
Yeah.
that is my favorite.
Yeah, salaries.
Every time we go to Fleming's
So they just gave
as a
you
group, right? I order my molding myself.
Just for yourself, yeah.
Not share. Stop asking, not share.
Yeah, that's fine.
They order. I'm not going to share with you, but I like the most.
Oh, yeah.
It's the Calamo dark Belgian chocolate with the sugar over. I mean, you can't use too much sugar. It's just like pour the whole bag of sugar into
Just
the.
whole bag.
Yeah.
It's not too much.
If an opportunity.
I love the keyword.
Yeah, those things are good.
Oh yeah, it's the best.
I'm more of a steak guy than a dessert guy, but
I like the steak too.
Like, if
yeah.
nothing comes
What, do you have a favorite steak that you get or?
I like prime rib.
Prime rib?
You get an opportunity somewhere else.
I like prime rib from time to time. Filet is my go-to.
Filet is
You can't go wrong with filet.
That's true.
Hard though, 'cause I'm not happy with
So you grew up in China?
Yeah, it's Friday.
When did you move to the United States?
December 2000.
Okay. Yeah, when they first started,
Okay.
Oh, that's
they asked.
Did you know English before you came, or did you?
But he was starting to
English was my second language.
Did you want to go to school?
subscription about
Yeah.
Starting kindergarten.
Did you have people? Were there people in China who knew spoke English, or you just knew it?
Yeah, I mean, I told them,
English?
like, I've had
Yeah.
someone come in
Well,
and
English was
give us name on list and they got hired.
Oh, you had to?
I work
It
at
had to be because English was British.
they're surprised that it's
Okay, wow.
And well, shows my age too. I was very lucky. I went to school in 1997.
What happened in?
Hong Kong back to China.
No, it's just not a
So
sustainable.
at that time, the
Like, we're gonna
education
hire
system was every single kid must learn
78 hours, 80 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, like something right out of the gate.
Actually, starting middle
It's just
school,
work.
6th grade, right?
They
7th
get a lot
grade.
of, they don't have.
All the subjects except for Chinese and Chinese history. They all
Even when they
change.
just burn out war places.
Yeah.
Basically, where I'm trying to get hired out of.
Oh, no, teachers
Charter model.
give us a year or two to adjust.
Yeah. So fill me in on the
Is this
history.
the first company?
Hong Kong was a British colony, and it was just kind of separate from China. Isn't it inside China?
Now, my first one was in
The
Arkansas.
south,
Oh, yeah.
south part of China.
Okay. And when did they invade? When did it become British?
99 years before 1997.
Level of like.
1891.
1898.
Okay. And then in 97 we got it, they handed it back to China. Now it's part of China. What happened to get it back to China?
What happened?
Yeah.
My cousin just
What
bought
caused that to happen? I'm sorry.
Well, it was a 99 years lease
right by him.
from
Oh, wow.
China.
Oh,
The
okay.
bad.
It was a
I
lease.
mean, they were, he's
So the lease,
scared.
Right.
But I mean, that's like.
the English government decided to give the entire Hong Kong. They leased Hong Kong Island and Kowloon Peninsula.
That road.
Okay.
So Hong Kong Island is separate island,
So
which is
55.
downtown Hong Kong.
It goes
The
from
main business area.
Chicago.
Kowloon Peninsula is right across the Hong Kong Island, across the harbor. New territory.
And through Jacksonville.
But the new territory was not on the lease.
So like,
So they could just give back new territories to China.
you think all the
China
cities.
to the entire Hong Kong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did they get anything out of it, or were you like we're
The
sorry?
highway.
Oh, they're not sorry, they make enough money for Hong Kong, right?
They got it. They got what they wanted. And we're done.
Just crazy.
Well, that's the British for you.
But I was lucky because I got education.
Did you like your education? Decent? Yeah, that's good.
I went to local school. And my English like that.
Yeah, nice.
Dude, that's bad. That's like really cool.
So the population of Hong Kong now, is it mostly Chinese, or are there still a lot of like British?
Most Chinese.
I wouldn't be able to live. I remember. If you teach
It was more diverse.
That's why I would have.
Back then?
I went from that to this school.
So do you still have relatives there? Do you still visit?
Wow.
All the friends I got.
How often do you get to go back?
And, well, now I'm married. My husband, he's not a fan of traveling to Asia.
Is he not a fan of traveling to Asia? Or is he not a fan of travel?
He's too nervous. He would like relatives.
My
What
cousin
happened
had
last year?
really good.
He got his own ticket to Taiwan to visit his grandma and relatives.
And they sell them, right?
Yeah.
And they're usually business.
And he was like, are you going to
They
be?
do, you can't
I'm
let it
not
be.
interested in
Bad, you
it.
can't just bring the house.
Go ahead, do whatever you
Whenever
want.
I first did it, the way it seemed, I like
So he's never met?
back. I would sugar front,
Yeah, so
When you got married?
and then I had a function in that. Just write it.
For two, so just shot it.
Did y'all meet here?
Just
Did you meet in that United States?
I had like
No reason why. You was not.
just for
Is that where you moved first? When you came to
Right,
us?
right.
I understand why. But yeah, so aside from
Like it? Why'd you move there?
no,
Oh, yeah.
I like full package.
How is Hong Kong?
I didn't have like the function to check to see who was in there yet.
Alright, does everyone want to stay awake? Yeah. Good. Alright, Daniel's going to really get started, share his story. Feel free to ask questions. It's a really open presentation, but I know you all will enjoy it. Alright? Welcome, Daniel.
All right, I'm Daniel Griggs. ATX Web Designs is my company, web design and digital marketing company. I actually started mine, I guess you could say officially, in 2015. Coding and development and things like that I learned from YouTube University. And I picked up on it. I first designed a website in my junior or senior year in high school using Dreamweaver. I was a big Dragon Ball Z fan, so I built a website based on that. Realistically, I was never heavily into development per se. It was a skill that I picked up because what I really wanted to do, I needed to be able to do it just at the beginning. I started my company, I graduated with a degree in marketing. I love marketing. I understand how to connect with people, and I understand target audiences and how to really reach them. Of course, the internet is big as ever now, but when I started, I knew that was the direction to go. The websites in particular, I played pro football for a few years, and so when I was playing in New Orleans, my roommate, he had a nonprofit, and so I built the website for him. He told someone they liked it, and then it kind of started up like that. When I got done, I went full-fledged into it. Now, from the entrepreneurship perspective, well, let me ask this. How many people actually want to have your own business or have the thought of having your own business or be an entrepreneur? Or do you more of, okay. Now, it's more of like, you would like to work for a marketing agency, whether it be app development, stuff like that. All right, cool. So really, in essence, both of them are similar to the same. Entrepreneurship, of course, is, it looks very fun these days, but it's really no different than what it used to be, back if it was a guy that owned a storefront, right? And he had to balance out his books and struggles every month, right? Especially when you're talking about a startup. There's a lot that goes into it. It looks very fun these days, especially I hate like on social media, and I'm on social media heavy, but I hate on social media when there's people posting they're on some kind of vacation or something like that and, got their phone out. Hey, I was sleeping on my parents' couch, $50,000 in debt. It's college debt, dude. We all got college debt, So that perception is false at the beginning for a startup. Even people that have a lot of success from a startup, rather they raised a certain amount of money, rather they had a lot of success really fast. I know someone, I met with a guy, he grossed, 1 point something million his very first year. Then the next year was like 400 something K, right? And this is gross. Now the thing is, he said, they had a really big purchase order the first year, and the second year, the purchase order went away. So pretty much what it comes down to, there's a difference between actually making money and then building a business, if that makes sense, right? So a lot of people raise their hand about entrepreneurs. I hope I can write on this board. This is like it's entrepreneur mindset. Like your brain is scattered all over the place. You got 1,000 different ideas, even if it's in the same realm, right? Say, for instance, you say something about like towards the internet. You don't know if you want to focus on social media, or if you want to focus on websites, or if you want to focus on app development. right? It's all completely different. So one of the main things that I always tell people is what really helped me is getting a focus. I was blessed enough to have a mentor, great guy, like extremely great. And I love mentors just because they help you accelerate and you can just like hurdle over a lot of different obstacles. And so for about almost a year, he just threw a ton of information at me all the time. Had nothing to do with web design industry. He understood development and stuff like that. He was actually more real estate. But very successful, and a lot of the information that he gave me that year that he was taking me through everything, most of it I didn't even incorporate into the following year. But you know, he made me hold myself accountable to like keeping up with leads and stuff like that. It's a straight hustle when you talk about entrepreneurship. A lot of people, you know, like, oh yeah, I'm ready to hustle, I work so hard. I'm talking about a straight hustle. You know, you gotta have a lot of, what's the word? You gotta be very humble. You gotta let go of yourself, especially with a lot of pride. When I started my company, I was doing cold calls. I went to, you know, I like to be strategic, you know, with my hustle, but I went to like the Chamber of Commerce. I looked at the list. I went to these people's websites. If I was like, I can build something better than that, then I wrote the name down. I wrote down a business name. I wrote down a phone number. If I could find an email, I wrote that down. If I could find a decision maker, I wrote that down. And I would call about 50 to 60 people a day. Monday and Tuesday, I would call 50 to 60 people, and I would try to set up appointments on Wednesday and Thursday. That's how I set mine up. And so it was a grind, though. And the reason I say you got to really let go of yourself is because if somebody answers the phone and they feel like I'm trying to pitch them, don't call here anymore. It's like, dang, I don't want to finish my list. Right? I mean, seriously, you'll feel like that, but it's just part of it, right? That's just part of entrepreneurship. But the laser focus part, my mentor told me when we sat down, I had got done doing football, and he told me, he said, all right, now it's time to figure out what you want to do when you grow up. And so he was like, you know, you got to choose something. At the moment, I was doing web design, I was a personal trainer, and I had an apparel company. He was like, you got to choose one out of the three. And he told me, he said, this is one of the most important things. He said, don't choose something based on the amount of money that you want to make. Choose it based on your lifestyle. Now, I have a beautiful wife. I have 3 gorgeous kids. And so I'm a very family guy. So I like to be at home, be around my family. Now I hustle when I need to, but you know, my wife is at work from morning till evening. My kids are at school from morning to evening. So I got a big time. And then once everybody goes to bed, I have all night, right? But I like to be at home. So that's really the reason why, it's part of the reason why I kind of went the digital marketing way. It's really based on the lifestyle that I want. But that's part of the laser focus. Until I broke down, you know, what I really wanted to focus on, that was my focus. Now here's the deal. While I did know the direction that I wanted to go, I still had to do a lot of other things that I didn't want to do to get there. So I was still doing training so that I could continue to, you know, provide for my family and make money and fund myself enough so I could become full-time with web design. Now there's never a point to where it's going to be like, all right, it's time to go. Like you can't really give somebody that point. You're just going to have to make that jump, right? And so I'll give you an example. With my company per se, just met with a new client, what is today? Friday. Met with him Wednesday. And it was just crazy. Last year, he contacted me, said he wanted a website, he was starting up a new business, entrepreneur, blah, blah, blah. Gave me his budget, and I was like, it's way below the budget that you need. And he was like, okay. He was like, well, I'm going to try to get the money and then contact you later, right? This guy contacts me last week again. It was like 11 o'clock at night. My wife and kids were in bed. I was on my laptop knocking out some work, and I see the email pop up. And I was like, man, his name looks familiar. So I actually replied to him then. And so we got on a phone call, and I was like, man, this guy sounds so familiar, but I can't remember. So when we met, he was like, yeah, I contacted you last year. And I was like, oh, that is right. So this guy got the money to invest in what he needs, not just for a website. I'll tell you more about, I'll tell you more about my business and how we run it, but he invested in himself, he raised the money he needed, himself, quit his job, walked away from his job, sold his home to save money, and took out his retirement. Now that's jumping. That's the clip. Like I'm jumping off this building. You know, that's tough. But that's his mindset. But the way that he did it when he was explaining it to me, it was strategic. Is it a risk? Yes, a huge risk, but it's strategic. I never really advise someone on the route to take because I can't speak for your personal life. But at least try to be strategic with it, and then whatever you kind of have in your mind, just go with it, right? But that's that laser focus, So just really staying focused on task at hand. You don't have to have some kind of made out business plan, 12, 50 pages long. Think of a general plan, write it down, and just go. Because most of the things you're going to figure out as you go. My first year was different than the second year, right? But the first quarter of the first year was completely different than the second quarter, and so forth and so on. Right? So all these dots right here, you want to just find one, just like that. And I forgot what he named it. He called it something, but I was like that. I would see something, I was like, oh, I should get into that. Oh, I should get into that. And he told me, look, you gotta focus on exactly what you want to do. So everyone wants that's pursuing the entrepreneur life, or owning your own business, especially with a startup. Laser focus is the first thing. The next thing that was major for me is learning. Now, I've never had trouble in school. I was, I'm not going to give you the, who knows Gary Vaynerchuk? If you're an entrepreneur, you got to know Gary Vaynerchuk. Y'all serious?
I know Donald Trump.
When we leave, or now, look up Gary Vaynerchuk. Now, I like this guy a lot because he's a straight out hustler. He's really good. He has a deal called Daily V. But I'm going to have to tweet out like nobody in here knew him. You'll be disappointed. But this guy, he talks about, I didn't have really bad grades in school. I wasn't that guy. First off, I played sports. You don't pass, you don't play. So that was my motivation for me, right? But I wasn't like, my mind is very sporadic. So when I'm reading, I can't really like read and just focus. So when I would study, I didn't study a lot because I would just have to go over notes once, come back 30 minutes and go over it again. But I was blessed enough to just be able to have, A's and B's. So I wasn't like really bad in grades and stuff like that, but I was never a reader. I never like enjoyed just sitting down and, let me go enjoy a good book. It wasn't me, right? So my mentor, back to him, he asked me, he said, I think it was around Thanksgiving or Christmas time, and I was texting him, and he said, what do you really want to know? I said, I want to know everything you know. And he said, okay, well, what's your library look like? And I live in Huddle. I was like, I don't know. I think they got a library. I've never been to it. He was like, no. How many books do you have? He said, I got the Bible. It's like, it's a good book, but it's going to take more than that. And so at that moment, that's when I began reading. The first book I read was E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. And it was a really good book, especially for someone for a startup. And what the book really talks about a lot is, the technician, the mechanic, the person that really wants to be an entrepreneur. When you have a startup, you got a ton of different hats that you have to wear. You're right. You have to be the accountant. You have to be the salesperson. You have to be the marketer. You got to be the developer. You got to be the designer. You got to be a whole bunch of different things, even if you have a partner, right? And it really tells you how to figure out who you want to be within your company. Most small businesses, if you go to a, maybe like a little brick and mortar type, the business owner has the skill to run that business, but they might not necessarily have the business development skills. Does that make sense? Right? So say, for instance, you're really good at developing. You're one hell of a developer, but you don't know how to build business. You don't know how to build in clients. So figure out what end of the spectrum you want to be in your business, and while you're doing them all, figure out, how can you shift yourself away from what you really don't want to do. And the book is really good about that. So that learning aspect, that was one thing from the learning aspect I began reading. So I read that. I like Robert Kiyosaki books. He's a real estate guy, but he has a lot of good information. For me, what reading does, I don't take things literal, like literally go and do this, but it really it opens my mind. Like I don't read, I'm not like I read every single week guy. I'm a bulk reader. So like every month or every other month, I may just read for like a week straight. And I may finish the book, but it's like, I'm moving on now. Like, I'm ready to get things started. A lot of people these days, they read so much, but they forget to go do. You know what I'm saying? So don't become that. So for the learning part, that's the first thing. For me, it was. And that may not necessarily be for you all, but find something that, you know, that'll really help you enhance and better your skill and find out the direction you want to go. The next thing, which is huge for me, I'm talking about like, grew my business times 10. My mentor told me, he said, you need to find someone that's in your industry, that's successful, call them up and say, hey, I want to take you to coffee or lunch and just talk to them. Hear their story. I said, man, I don't know anybody that does this. He's like, Google it. So for like 2 months, I didn't do it. And we would meet once a week. And he was like, oh, we were meeting twice a week at that time. And he was like, where's my phone call? I would never have it. I was like, oh, I got it on my list. Then he was like, where's my damn phone call? I was like, man. So I looked on Google and I called up someone who's here in Austin. And called him up, that didn't answer, left a voicemail like I was a potential client. Then they answered the phone, asked him some questions, and then, you know, I asked him how they got started up. And I told him, I said, hey man, I said, dude, honestly, I'm a freelance designer. I'm trying to build my business. I said, I love to, you know, take you to lunch and really just hear your story. Dude was 100% for it. And me, it's crazy because he has and had a mentor as well. And he told me, he said, what you're doing is the exact same thing I did. I reached out to someone in the industry and it helped me grow like massive. And he was like, you'll see. And he laid like, the information that he gave me took me to a completely different level. And my business just escalated, right? And I tell him to this day, it's like, dude, you one of the best phone calls I ever made. Literally, he was, right? But this is just part of the learning phase, right? Figuring out ways to learn, whether it be more about your industry or whatever it is going to help you build your business up. If you're a developer and you actually want to work for a company, being a developer or a coder or something like that, with me, these are the 3 things that I really look for in people. It doesn't matter if the developer, the UI, UX designer, or what have you, project manager, or anything. The first thing is, of course, know-how. At least having the basic know-how. You don't have to be the best of the best, right? Now, if you're looking like senior developer type deal or director of web development, of course, but it's like having the know-how, right? You know how to at least get the basic things done. The next thing is problem solving. I'm huge on problem solving. If you don't know how to do something and you can't figure out how to do it, find a solution. One example that I give is my director of web development, we had a project, a really big project, and there's never been anything that he hadn't been able to do. You know, I threw some stuff at him. And so he told me, it's like, I don't have a lot of experience in this. It's like, but I found someone that does. It's like independent developers. Like, I found someone that does, and he knows how to do it. I think we should contract him out, let him do it. I'll follow along, so anytime else we have it, I'll know how to do it. That's problem solving for me. I don't care for the fact that he didn't know how to do it. It was more of like, let's find a solution. And I don't want him to try and go and like figure it out when he doesn't have a ton of experience at the moment, because he could screw something up and they can prolong and make us look bad. So problem solving is the next thing. And then the last thing is something that you really can't teach, is just the hustle. Right? You gotta, whatever you do, no matter if you're an entrepreneur, if you work with someone, you have to have a hustle to you. You can't look at, like, I don't look at projects as a project. Every single thing for us, because especially I develop really good relationships with clients, whether it be big corporate or whether it be just like someone independent want to start up their business. I develop really good relationships with them. I know the sacrifices that they're putting forward. I know what's taking place within that company, how important whatever work we're doing for them is. It could be, you know, one of our biggest clients, you know, that grows 50 to 60 million and wants us to redesign their website. Well, for them to get to 70 million or 80 million is largely dependent on us. Or the guy that I gave an example about, he's put everything on us. And a large amount of it is on us, because we're doing his website, we're doing his social media, we're doing his digital marketing. So it's like, These people are putting their livelihoods in our hands. So nothing is just like a project. So always have a hustle to it. So from an entrepreneur perspective, the only thing that I'll say lastly about being an entrepreneur is at some point it doesn't necessarily have to be growth, you're gonna be broke. It doesn't have to necessarily mean money, but you're gonna be broke. You say Donald Trump. Donald Trump was born with money, but at some point he was broke. You get what I'm saying? It doesn't necessarily mean like you're gonna be struggling, sleeping in your car or something like that. But it does mean like you're gonna be broke. It could be mentally. The most draining thing for me is mental. Like the other night, my wife was going to bed. She's like, "You finna sleep on the couch?" I was like, "No, I just need like 3 minutes to release my mind." Because my mind, I'll go to bed and it's just spinning, right? But you'll have points where, like I say, you may not be financially hurt or anything like that. But when you're passionate about your business and really building something up, it's stressful on you because you're always trying to think about the next thing you can do. How can I build it up? What can I do to get better? You're thinking of 20 different things in your head. You want to write them all down. Sleep. I didn't get too much sleep. And it's all by choice, right? That's the great thing about being an entrepreneur. It's not like you're forced into it. It's all by choice. It was one time I probably got, it was like within a 36-hour period, I probably slept like 6 hours. And it was a straight hustle, right? Now, I don't recommend you could just go out and do this on purpose. It wasn't something like, oh, I'm going to stay up 36 hours straight. I was taking naps and stuff like that, but at the moment, my business was building, and I got a lot in at one time. And I'm all about trying to stay on top with customers, and I was wearing a lot of different hats. I only had a developer at that time. I didn't have a project manager or a graphic designer or a social media person or anything like that. Everything was on me. So, you'll have times like that, but it's the journey, right? It's the path. You got to enjoy it. And when I say enjoy it, it doesn't mean like, oh, I'm struggling, I'm tired. It's not like that. What I'm saying, like when you got to enjoy it, you always got to keep in your mind. I'm a very visionary person. You always got to keep in your mind the goal, the vision, exactly where you want to go. So entrepreneurship, and I tell you this because everybody's going to run into it. I don't care if you raise, like the thing these days is raising, you raise a lot of money, or some people take out small business loans, and a lot of people feel like they're successful because they raised $1.5 million. Well, it's not your money. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like building a business isn't really just deemed on the money that you have starting up with, right? The build of hiring, knowing the direction to go, the marketing, like it's an entire thing. It's literally a marriage. Like you're married to it. When you lay down, those thoughts in your business lays down with you. When you're up, your business is up. So that's why I didn't get much sleep at first. I got some sleep before I came here because I didn't want my eyes to be red. Yeah, for entrepreneurship, from my experiences and still experience, those are the main things. Last thing, and then I like to do like a Q&A. The last thing is I worked at, I got a deal. I say I was forced into entrepreneurship. I won't say like I always knew I was an entrepreneur. But I worked retail. I was a store manager at Walgreens about pretty much when I got out of college. And that right there like pushed me to where I didn't want to do anything else that I didn't really enjoy. I would rather struggle and work 20 hours a day and sleep 4 hours to make ends meet, to build something up, before I went back and worked a job that I hated going to every day. Now this isn't anything towards Walgreens, and this is live stream tweeting me out. But I hated the job. Like I literally hated it. I would go in late because I didn't care, not all the time because I couldn't get fired. I did have to pay for an apartment, but like I was going in late. I wanted to shut down. Like I didn't really want to do anything. So now I had to keep working it until I can get to the point to where I can just like quit, right? But even when I quit, what I was doing wasn't making me that much money, but I was willing to do it. I was making like $200 a week after I quit. But I was enjoying what I was doing, and I had a vision in mind. At that time, I didn't have My wife at the time was my girlfriend, and we didn't have any kids at that moment. So I didn't have any responsibility. So I was willing to put that on myself. So I didn't, you know, I could never go back to doing something that I completely hate unless it has to do for a moment, right? So that was for a moment in time. My entrepreneurship, my business is a lifetime. It's a legacy. Whether it's going to be me, whether it's going to be something my kids do, it's going to be something that really just like I said, it's going to be a legacy. That's the easy way for me to explain it. Doing something that you really hate, that you can't really wake up and enjoy doing or have a motivation to do, some days you don't feel like doing it. I've had those, but most of the time, you do. You're ready to wake up. You know, the problems come along with it, but overall, you enjoy it. So I want to answer some questions now, anything y'all have in mind, any type of thoughts you have about startups, what you'd like to do in your entrepreneurship.
I see that create and create something is a big effort. It's a massive amount of work, and I can start to see I have many ideas.
Yeah.
But I need people to help me, and I don't know how can you build a team without having anything yet.
So I'll kind of give you this is from my perspective. I've seen other people do it, but this is my perspective. It's kind of when I go back to saying I was wearing every single hat in my business, and it was tiresome. But set up a plan for the most important thing that you will need to pass off. For me, when I was a freelancer, not exactly an agency at the moment, the next thing I felt like I needed was someone that was a developer, and that's all that they did. They don't have to be a designer. They don't have to be a salesperson. They don't have to speak to clients. They just need to develop. Once I hired that person on, that freed up a ton more time for me. But it was strategic. Like I couldn't just go throw that money out, right? Because everything was like project, paycheck to paycheck type deal. But I factored in, okay, I need to get a developer for somebody that can just take this off of my hands. Once I did that, that freed up a lot more time. Once you free up more time, you actually bring in more money because you have time to actually focus on more business development stuff and things like that. So whatever your startup, your business may be, you know, all these hats that you have, think about all the different things that you need to do. Think about what takes up the most time for you that you would want to really pass off and get away from, and then figure out how you can find somebody to do it. Right? Even if you need to, you know, I would always advise contracting somebody out. Don't try to like bring somebody in on a salary or something like that. Try to contract somebody out, because especially with hiring, you know, you don't want to get the wrong person and then feel like you're stuck with them. So, you know, bring someone in, let them help you with, you know, a project or something for a moment, a couple hours, few hours, and then really test it out. And then that'll help you make a better decision. What's up?
So when you were working at Walgreens, like how did you know it was time to leave? And did you have like a plan? Like how did you think to support yourself?
So with Walgreens, I was at Walgreens from the end of 2009 to the beginning of 2011. At that moment, I was playing pro football. So I was training and getting in shape for that. Now, that was my goal. And besides working out, like I was reaching out to teams all the time, on top of my agent to do it. And when the opportunity came, it was for a arena league team, and I wasn't going to be getting paid that much. But I was willing to leave and not get paid that much to do what I really had the passion to do. Right? Now that's one situation where, you know, it's more of like I signed a contract with the team and I leave. But it was still a huge decision because, you know, I was getting paid like $17 an hour at Walgreens at the time. And out of college, there was really good money for me, you know. And so I left all of that, you know. So when you ask, when do you know when to leave? I can't really tell you exactly when to leave. It's always going to feel like uneasy. There's never a perfect time. You know, maybe you do it too early. Maybe you do it too late. I think the main thing is whenever, before you leave, you need to be hustling. If you're working from 8 o'clock, 5 o'clock, if you got a family, once the kids, wife goes to bed, you need to be working. If you don't, once you get off, you need to go and work. I have a brother, and he's, he has a goal that he wants to have his own business. And when he's off work, he says he's working on his fortune. When he's at work, he's working at work. When he gets off work, he's working on his fortune. So, whatever your time frame may be, that takes sacrifice too. Happy hours can't be 6 to 8 o'clock somewhere with happy hours, sipping on mimosas, and I'm networking. No, you're not. You don't even have anything to network right now, So, you have to have that mindset. Those are things that you're going to have to sacrifice. Going out, having drinks with friends and stuff like that. These are things that you're going to have to sacrifice if you're really passionate about your business. Because, as I said in the beginning, social media creates a perception. It's frankly a bunch of BS. It literally is, right? Entrepreneurs walking around and everybody, filming themselves, talking all of this. Man, that dude is struggling just as much as the next person. But to create a perception online, especially Instagram. The person that is trying to be flashy and has, stacks laid out. Think about some of the most successful people that you know. And really think about, have you ever seen them doing that? Have you ever seen Mark Cuban laying out stacks? He has a hell of a lot of money. See him laying out stacks? No, you don't see, these guys are just hustling. Mark Cuban, he's another guy I like, and he says it all the time, there's always some younger guy that's trying to come up and whoop my ass, and I'm not going to let it happen. He's always saying, I still have that same hustle to me as when I first started. So, it's going to take sacrifice with things like that. No one to leave. I know some people that's left really big salaries. I actually mailed up with a guy 2 weeks ago. He owns a branding, digital marketing branding company here in Austin. And he was working at a company. And he was doing so good that they wanted to begin paying him 4 times as much as he was currently getting paid. He said, no, I'm going to go do my own thing. Now they'll even use that guy now to do projects for him, right? So it's not really just like a moment okay, it's time. It's just, you may wake up one day and be like, yes, I gotta leave this damn job. You know what I'm saying? I can't answer it for you, but you'll know. You'll know when you get to that point, especially if you're hustling and say for instance, you're working somewhere and then you got the business that you're trying to build up and you get so busy with the business that you're trying to build up that it's interfering with your work and you feel like you can manage in reference to finance, then you can leave. I'm not saying that's when you should leave. I don't want anybody to do that and then start sending me emails. But all I'm saying is, you just, plan something out and just go after it.
So when you said you first started freelancing, making all those cold calls, how did you figure out the business of it, the market, how much to charge to seem attractive to people, rates, how long it would take you to build a website or design it?
So when I first started, I was doing websites for free at first. Mm-hmm. This is my mindset. I can't just tell someone I build websites and I can build you something better than what you can build, right? So I was doing them for free, not for business I was calling, but for family and friends. So I would do it for free, and really they would promote, what I did. And so then I'd actually had some form of a portfolio. Built my own self a website, put a few of the free sites that I did on there, and then this is what I would do. I would, as I said, I looked at the Chamber of Commerce and I picked them out. If I knew I could do something better, what I would do is I would actually go and create a mock-up. Now this takes time, but it's part of the hustle. I had bills to pay. I would create a mock-up. If I cold called them and I could set an appointment, I would tell them I'll create you a free homepage mock-up that you can view so you can see the work before we see anything delivered. It's completely free. If you don't like it, that's fine. If you do, then we can talk more. So I would do that when I set an appointment. I would go in and present it. And it was huge for me. And until this day, we still do that. And it's a huge risk, but 90% of the time, it closes deals for us. Now at that time I was doing it, and I would kind of prospect really small businesses. When I tried to go for a price point, I looked at prices for like what freelancers were charging and stuff like that. So the first one I threw out like $2,500, and people were like, hell no. So I dropped it down to like $500 real quick, right? And it was bad, right? The websites weren't bad, but it was just like for what they were receiving, it was more, but it's just part of the journey, dude. You know, and then the main thing is I had bills to pay at the time. Well, I still got bills to pay, but I had bills to pay and I wasn't making any money to pay those bills at the time. So I did it, you know, and I'm really happy that I went that low of a price point and then I built up, right? Because I'm grateful for understanding the way that small businesses think, and I can understand how corporate people think, so I really like the build up. So from a price point, for me, for others, I would say just have some form of a portfolio, but really it's all about the presentation and then who you're targeting. I was targeting such small businesses that all they could afford was between $500 and $1,200, right? But at the time, you know, I would do 5 of them that month for X amount of dollars and then try to stick them on a retainer, and that would help me get by. But at the same time, you know, I had a vision in mind of where I really wanted to go. So really the price point wise, choose your price point. But then just understand that whatever audience you're going toward, make sure that they have, that audience has the money to invest. If you're going after the real small businesses, most of them won't. You can catch some entrepreneurs, they'll have a decent amount. If you catch a startup, like a tech startup or something like that, they all have money that they always have money that they raised, and you know, they have the capital for it, then corporate, and the list just goes on. So just know your target, then it'll be easier for you to know the price point.
Sounds like your mentor had a huge impact on your life.
Uh-huh.
How did you go about finding him, and how would you suggest going about finding a mentor?
So I got lucky. When I was personal training, the gym, Core Speed Gym in Round Rock is where I was personal training at. My mentor had 2 sons that were in high school and played sports. And he knew me from football and whatnot, and then he knew when I walked away from football and that I was trying to build, well, he knew I was doing like all 3 of these different things. And so he said, hey, I want you to train Kyle for speed. I was like, all right, cool. So I was training him and he was paying me. And then he was like, hey, I just had a thought, you know, throw it out there. How about we barter and I help you build up your business and you train Kyle. At the moment, I needed the money more than I actually needed like his mentorship. But I'm a visionary person and I understood like long term what it's going to do, and I was like, all right, cool. So that's how it happened for me. Now I know others that reaching out to people. So the guy that I reached out to, you know, we're pretty good friends now, and I just emailed him last night actually, and just, you know, just keeping in contact with him. You know, we bounce ideas off one another, but he's been doing it in the industry for longer than I have, so I'm always listening to him. He's always providing information. So sometimes you just have to reach out, and it may not be somebody that's like vastly successful, just somebody that's on another level than you at the moment. Like that's where I'm trying to get to, right? I told a group of developers before, maybe it was a development class, I can't remember, but whatever direction you want to go in reference to, like, say for instance development, find someone that's better than you and what you want to do and learn from them. Give them, like, you know, successful people are willing to give away that information, because most successful people, they're going to be very grateful because somebody more than likely helped them. So always be willing to just go out and learn. So I would say from a mentor, besides I guess what Capital Factory has, you may have to pick up the phone, you may have to just approach someone. Like find someone that's just like one hell of a developer in the Austin area or wherever they may be, and shoot them an email or call them, right? You just have to, it goes back to that hustle. I'll give you an example of that. When I was playing football, I went to I'm a small town country boy. I kind of got a little Texas accent. So I went to college in McMurray University, really small college. Played football on a low level. When I got out, it's like I want to play pro football. Right now I was good, but our team was like didn't win any games. I had no accolades, but I was like, I got the talent to play. It's just a matter of me putting myself in front of the right people. Now there's hundreds of thousands of guys in the nation that's going for the same goal that I am, right? So my wife, when we had our first son, I was doing personal training. Well, she went back to work after leave and I was at home with our 3-month son. And so I didn't have any clients until the evening. From that morning, it took like 8 to 10 hours. I went and I got the emails for 23 NFL teams. I figured them out. I would email, and if it bounced back, I was like, that isn't it. And I figured it out for 23 teams. I sent the email out to 23 NFL teams like I was marketing myself. Note that I should have had an agent doing this. It's a whole different story. But I did, and I got to probably the last 5, and I was like, oh, I don't even want to do this no more. And someone was just like, just finish the list, right? It's like a cold calling list. When I got tired of doing cold calls, I was just like, your goal is to finish the list. So I was like, I'm just going to finish the list. So the last 5 phone calls I made, one of them was the New York Jets, the other one was the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars, after I emailed them, called me in 30, 45 minutes. The New York Jets contacted me the next day. So the point I'm getting to is you have to have a hustle about you to get to the point to where you want to go. A mentor, if you feel, I won't say if you feel like, a mentor will help you. If you have to find one, you should have to go find one. It may be somebody on a big scale, or maybe somebody just locally. Maybe someone that you know. The point of a mentor isn't someone that has $1 billion or $1 million and vastly successful. It's just someone that's been through what you're going through, and they can give you advice on how to go over some of those obstacles. Does that make sense? Google them. So I did. So whatever you have in mind, whatever direction you want to go, and you can think, and not even you think of someone in particular, just Google someone that has that specific skill or does something like that, and then just reach out to them and be sincere about it.
So this talk is a great example, but do you do anything else, like contributing articles to blogs or something like that to sort of get your name out there and at the same time get more recognition for your company?
I did. So I have a blog, DanielOGriggs.com, and it's my me blog, right? It's not my corporate ATX web designs. We have a copywriter. I don't write the blogs for my company because I'm not I don't like writing like that. I can't just sit down and write. But on my blog, even when I do write, I can be 100% me. There's not really any filters or anything like that. It's just me. And that helps build my personal brand, but it does bring more attention to my company. A great example of that is Gary Vaynerchuk. So I know nothing about VaynerMedia, which is his company. The only reason I knew about it is because of his personal brand. And my mentor is actually the one that sent me a video, and he's like, check this out. It's pretty good. It's if you can get past the cursing. He curses a lot. And so after I seen that video, I was like, man, this guy's pretty interesting. I had no idea anything about his company. I really still don't. But I know a lot about him. But his personal brand is what really helped. His personal brand brings a lot of attention to his company. So honestly, I try to replicate a lot of the same thing. That's why I started mine. I had an interview on a radio show. It was a podcast radio show, and it gets sent out iHeart and a whole bunch of stuff like that. Different speaking events and whatnot. So I always do that with social media as well, and building your personal brand. And always relate it back to your, to your business. I talk about a bunch of different things. I box now, and so I talk about that, but always relate it back to your corporate business. It always helps. So build your personal brand.
Okay, any more questions when I get ready to wrap it up?
if you do have any questions, you can email me. I'll give everybody all my
Thank you.
questions.
So I know being an entrepreneur is very hard. What's the easiest thing?
The easiest thing. That's the most difficult question. Let me see. I would say from a startup perspective, or
I mean, just something that like, you know, maybe even, it could be something that you're like, man, I'm worried about doing this, but it was just.
I'll give you this example. It's hard to just say the easiest thing. I'll give you this example. And it's like a pro and a con. The con to entrepreneurship is loneliness. When I say loneliness, I mean your ideas and what you have in mind, you will spill out to like everybody. I got this idea, I want to do this, blah, 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 blah. They'll be completely, they won't be interested at all. You're like, oh, okay. Damn, he always talking about it. You know what I'm saying? But you always want to talk about it. Even my wife, I talk about it with my wife, and I'm like, I know she's not that interested. But I can't blame her because it's not anything she's interested in, right? That's the huge con, because you're going to sit up at night, you're going to be talking to yourself, talk to myself often at night when I'm thinking about these ideas. Doesn't mean I'm weird. It's the best time to really talk to yourself. But that's the con to it, because you want to tell somebody so many of these ideas. I didn't have like a partner or anything like that. So I have, you know, my best friend, we talk about our businesses a lot with one another. A lot, right? I'm not all the way interested in what he does, but I'm interested in his entrepreneurship, which is vice versa. If you have somebody that you can really, it has to be somebody that thinks like you though. It helps. But that's really like, that's the con to it. The pro is the vision. Because you're going to see your vision come to life. That's what makes it easy through the journey. It's the best way that I can put it.
Hi everyone, thank you for coming out. I hope you enjoyed the tour. I hope you enjoyed hearing Daniel's story. I'm going to slack out the resources we discussed and his contact information. Thank you.
What about yourself? Oh yeah? I never see friends with your okay, cool. I know.
See you tomorrow. Nice. Oh, right. Yes,
Let me know.
I'll give you my No. I'm not. Just your brain.
Great. Great.
I don't know you guys, but we have extra sandwiches if you want some.
Oh, thank you.
Patty, go. Patty, go. Go, Patty. Patty, you're hungry.
Are we fluid with me?
Yes, what do you want left?
I like your nails.
Thank you.
Thank you so
And all the
much.
things
Thank
that
you.
left to eat. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go get you. Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna grab These are capital factories for members, y'all. I'm so excited. They are from, I know. You and Eric sat there for like 30 minutes opening these things. I made an announcement. I'm gonna break it. I'm scared. I don't know. Really?
How was that?
You have to take this out and take that out. But now,
We're getting excited about
yeah, really in the color.
the software is for this.
Ooh.
Oh, it's a veggie barbecue patty.
I'm the Midwest, this is my favorite.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Glad you like your pen.
Wait.
Wow.
Are these from Jason?
Desmond? Jason who?
Amsel?
Yeah. I don't know, Desmond will know.
What are people asking?
From Jason Amsel?
Yes. It's from the crop. Whatever there was one.
Nice, everybody got the culture.
Oh.
Because when you're writing, sometimes this all
That's cool.
in your eyes.
Get this out.
What? It's like,
Oh, you got it.
oh, you don't got it. I'm got
Get
it.
this out. I saw someone do it yesterday.
It's like flipping.
I don't really get that yet, but with time.
But you never know.
With time.
That's pretty.
How are you, Brent? Are you ready then, honey? How's Dallas?
Stuff them out there.
Pretty non-exciting. Not exciting. Not quite, but not yet.
It's like we're like 80 to
I know, right? Goes tight, goes not with it all. I'm just like waiting for it to like click and press like follow.
I did,
I don't see any old dogs. I want to select.
Yeah.
I was supposed to leave this one.
Locked out an hour.
So I told him I'm happy.
I see.
Oh my god.
big, little, medium.
What else? Medium, like 30 pounds. Let's go order. So we started off with the BFW lounge. Do you think we should actually start? No.
No, it's just one big.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's just,
yeah.
so that's my thing, is like, it's a small apartment, so I don't wanna have like a huge bed, but I don't want it to. No, it would be our, yeah, he would be our floor, because that lasted the whole time. I'll just do 3 here.
You and your OCD. And then crawl.
You don't have a dog, do you? Oh, Amos, no.
Color of apartment this. No, throw. House is not primarily.
Amazon wasn't really it. I mean, it was just also said okay, just offsite, stuff.
Is listening?
That's how I do it. I'm like worried.
Do we know what we're doing for
But
the
I'm also
summer?
like, I
Do
go
you
to
want
park a
Newbert's
lot
lemonade?
and home.
That might start Newbert's lemonade.
Great. And while I'm doing exercise, researching options for that, I'll link the two of you down there.
I'll just email her.
Oh, yeah, your garden? Yeah, your garden.
Okay.
And I won't mind keeping it.
These are the demo days. There's
Did you do that at your garden?
I think you have to. Yeah, you have to.
Okay.
Mike's hard lemonade is what I drink.
And then the rest will be.
I was like, okay, I think Tori.
Like what? That was the
perfect one, like your parents do. What?
We were like, a lot. Well, I like what? All the ones that were in the 16th floor. Those are external events, right? External that were healthier, so significant that are just the external client events.
Number one, how dare you?
And then,
How's the chicken salad?
a lot of mayonnaise.
Is there anything we're missing?
I don't love it.
Up here. Epic office hours. What else? Sunday dinner. Is founders dinner up there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any classes? I know. I just realized that there's like all kind of.
Whoa. Hi, guys.
Hello.
How's it going?